and he had the personal association of Krishna, that he became also a personal advisor of Krishna. He was sent to Krishna to see the gopis, because Krishna knew they felt great separation from him. And he wanted to console them, therefore he sent Uddhav, but Uddhav had also to learn a lesson. This is a very deep chapter, and I'm certainly unqualified to speak on this chapter, but we went to it also with the Bhaktivedanta students, and from this chapter we can see how Uddhav, he meets with these gopis separately, and because when Uddhav arrived in Vrindavan, he first saw our Acharya says, the aprakrit lila of Vrindavan. When he arrived, it was in the evening. He had a beautiful chariot and he heard all the bells in all the houses. They did arti. He heard the cows, the sound of milking the cows, and was very joyful when he arrived. And then after that, the next day, he entered the aprakrit lila, where there is feelings of separation from Krishna. And there he met Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yasoda, and he could see that they had great feelings from separation, that Mother Yasoda was crying all the time, and Nanda Maharaj's head was down. But Uddhav could understand the nature of these feelings of separation. And he could understand their intense feelings of separation, and that they factually were feeling, they were feeling great ecstatic love of Krishna. That separation for us means, yes, it's painful. We compare it to what our experience in this world. But no, it's the greatest bliss. Therefore, Uddhav said to them, I'm very happy to see you in that condition. That's interesting. He was not a masochist, or he was not sarcastic or whatever. No, he could understand how they were absorbed in this intense love for Krishna. And then after meeting with Nanda Maharaj Mother Yasoda, he met with the gopis, And when he met with the gopis, they left all their shyness. They opened their heart for Uddhava, and they forgot all social conventions, because the gopis were always hiding their love for Krishna, because it's from the social perspective is love for someone else outside marriage. But they started to speak freely about their feelings. And one of the gopis, it is described in the verse, in one previous verses, before the song of the bee starts. So one particular gopi, our Acharya said this was Srimati Radharani, because Sukadeva Goswami cannot mention her name because it's too intimately related with Srimati Radharani. Is the in the spiritual world is the parrot, the most beloved parrot of Srimati Radharani. That yes. So he mentioned one gopi, and she becomes so absorbed. She sees the bumblebee coming, and she sees the bumblebee as a messenger of Krishna and starts to speak to this bumblebee. And she doesn't see anything else around her environment anymore. She's sitting in the midst of these gopis, and suddenly she starts speaking. and Uddhava hears and Uddhava listens with great astonishment that she was completely focused on Krishna. And we know so many emotions comes out, and they are described by our acharyas and analyzed as Prajalpa, Vichalpa, Avachalpa, Suchalpa, Chitrachalpa. So all different kinds of emotions. But in a nutshell, she's telling, yes, you are an unreliable messenger of an unreliable master. Your master is just like a bumblebee. It goes from one flower to another to give the nectar, to get the nectar, and then goes to the following flower. So now Krishna is an object of attention of this lady, Mathura. And he has forgotten us. But unfortunately, we want to forget him, but we can't. We can't stop speaking about that. And the conversation goes on many verses, and then the bumblebee disappears for a moment, but then comes back. And Srimati Radharani thinks maybe he has gone to Krishna, telling everything I'm saying here. That's not so good. So when the bumblebee came back, she became very soft or that, and start to speak very with appreciation. So Uddhav is hearing that, and now we see here the reaction. They say Sarvatma Bhavo, that is this Sarvatma Bhavo has been analyzed by previous acharyas. That they say it's Sarvatma Bhavo, that is, we know that Rupa Goswami has given us an analysis of the process of devotional service from Shraddha to Prema. Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Vachanakriya, Anarthanivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhava, and Prema. So one may think Prema, yes, we got it. But Prema has also 7 stages. That 7 stages of Prema. That Sneha, Pranaya, Mana, Raga, Anuraga, then Bhava, but that's a stage of Prema, Bhava, and Mahabhava. So these are 7 bhavas, and this word Sarvatma Bhava, or some of our acharyas says, means all these bhavas together of Prema. That it's all different feelings, but the most intense is Mahabhav. Anurag, an example of Anurag given in the Nectar of Devotion is Queen Kunti. Anurag means very intense attraction to Krishna. That, but so this is extraordinary. But beyond this is this Mahabhav. That, and that is the lesson that Buddha has to learn. That, so this pastime of this place where Uddhav met the gopis is Uddhav Tyagi. That, and by hearing these gopis, Uddhav's life transformed. It's amazing. He's already on the highest platform. He's a servant of Krishna. That he has personal association with Krishna. Very confident for all servitude. And still his life was transformed. It's beyond our imagination. That because the love of the gopis is the most intense love. That so these gopis factually are the best preachers. That how are these gopis preaching? Just by their behavior, by doing their household chores, by churning butter. That's what they do. But these gopis gave a seat to Uddhav and they revealed the most intimate feelings of their ecstatic love for Krishna. Even we will hear hereafter the message of Krishna for the gopis. And what Krishna says is, even the goddess of fortune is not as dear to me than you. That goddess of fortune is always serving the Lord. And if the Lord has his pastimes, the goddess of fortune is there as a golden line, curly hair on the body of Krishna. So this conversation between Radhika and the bumblebee transformed him. Even Lakshmi Devi had noticed this intense love. Also not Balaram. They are immediate expansions of the Lord. But Radha Gopinath Ki. But every devotee who renders uninterrupted devotional service to the Lord, he becomes most dear to the Lord. This is from so they have these feelings of separation. So this prakat or aprakat lila, that it both nurtures our devotional service, but the feelings of separation are more intense in separation. This separation is from Bhakti-Godhead 1966. Is the realization of Jayananda Prabhu. I think he had he organized the first Ratha Yatra, built the first Ratha Yatra camp. So serving in separation, he understood, is more important than physical association. Srila Prabhupada also in a letter, I couldn't find a letter, but in that letter he writes that when you chant and I chant, we are connected wherever we are. That's interesting. If we preach even as neophytes, we can serve in separation. This is the way Prabhupada has trained us, serving in separation. Separation and meeting are not different. And we see that in the message of Krishna, he will say, when you think of me, I'm with you, I'm there. Because here Uddhav is meeting with the gopis, but 20 years later, Krishna will meet with the same gopis again at the solar eclipse at Kurukshetra. We'll meet there. And Krishna will tell them the same thing. That if you meditate on me, if you think of me, I'm with you. But you think it's imagination, but I'm really there. But the feelings of separation, these feelings make the love more intense. And also these feelings of separation, and after the passing away of the spiritual master, yes, these feelings of separation in the guru-disciple relationship are still there, and it's nurturing us. So separation is more realizable, more realizable than meeting. That if one feels separation from Krishna, one can see Krishna in every corner of the universe. Last Thursday we had Ramnami celebration, and it's what is the Ramayana about? It's separation. Ram and Sita is separated. It's a story of separation, a love story of separation. But the Indians are so attracted to it. This was in the 90s, I think they brought for the first time Ramayana on television in episodes, many episodes. And at the time the Ramayana was shown, that all the streets were empty. Everyone was before the television. The entire country. The story of separation. Of course, we cannot imitate that. We can try to follow that. So yes, this gopis and the greatest. And Krishna put Uddhav in that most exalted position that he could hear from these gopis. But when Uddhav met the gopis, it transformed his life. Uddhav was living with Krishna. These gopis were weeping, were crying, but when Uddhav saw the nature of their love, he saw himself insignificant. Later, Uddhav, he did austerities to become a blade of grass in Vrindavan. Although he was living with Krishna. And who were these gopis? They were simple Vaishyas. Uddhav was from the princely order. How could he desire that the gopis would place their feet on his head? He was ready to give up his royal position, everything. That's humility. As Lord Chaitanya said, we must become more humble than the grass. So Uddhav, he left all his opulences, prestige, position, just to do austerities, to become a blade of grass in Vrindavan, so that the gopis would trample on the grass, and by that they would receive the dust of the feet of the Vrajavasi. Gaura Kishore Das Babaji, at a certain moment, he was living near to Surya Kund, that's near to Govardhan. And Uddhav performed austerity there for obtaining this dust. So there were visitors. Gaura Kishore Das Babaji received visitors, and therefore basis is that, and then when they stood up, they removed the dust from their clothes. And Gaura Kishore Das Babaji said, he was instructing them that this is the most precious thing, it's dust. Because Uddhav was doing austerities to get his dust, and they were wiping it up from their clothes. So Gaura Kishore Das Babaji said, the highest position is to be a street sweeper in Vrindavan. The gopis feel themselves the most unfortunate. So Krishna left us for others who are better than us. That were the feelings of the gopis. Of course, a woman in this world, when the man leaves her and she gave her heart to the woman, it's painful. When he leaves for another woman, then it's devastating. It's broken-heartedness. It is an intense pain. It is most unfortunate, but the gopis' love was much more intense and pure. They did not identify Krishna as God. They saw Krishna as their lover. So they said, we gave up everything for him. We cannot forget him for a moment. So this bumblebee song is a song of separation. It's a song of expression of his purest love. So no one will be more absorbed in ecstatic love for Krishna than the gopis. Even the great sages, they have not established such pure love for the Lord as the gopis. They did not attain such a stage of divine consciousness. It's expression of this divyan mad, this divine madness that is the highest. So Uddhav saw the gopis as the greatest preachers. Because they changed the heart of Uddhav. That's a preacher. Preacher doesn't mean distribute jnana and knowledge and so on. That's also required. But the highest preacher, just by his presence, by his behavior, is going to change your heart. They were just churning water. They were doing their household chores. But they changed to that heart. Because just by their purity. That the gopis are the best preachers. In Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, Adi Lila 1:4, it's, yeah, the verse that says, Lord Chaitanya is brought us, but never was given before. This love in the conjugal love of the gopis, never been given before. And that was also Buddha. I didn't know this existed, that kind of love. It was beyond his imagination, that is beyond that. So Lord Chaitanya came to exhibit his love of Mahabharata. And he came with many of these gopis. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Kamala Manjari, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati, Nayana Mani Manjari, Sanatana Goswami, Labanga Manjari, a servant of Vishakasana, Rupa Goswami Rupa Manjari. That I remember 10 years ago, I was at a seminar given by Bhakti Charamaj, and I asked the question, what is the mood of our Guru Parampara? Is that the mood of all these gopis? And he said, yes, that's the mood, the internal mood of the Guru Parampara. Very interesting. Yeah. I have not much to say on this, but I know that it may inspire us to, especially on the last time, to serve Srimati Radharani. Srila Prabhupada had this prayer on the Yadatuta. He had 2 poems, Markini Bhagavatarma, and then the other is Prayer to the Lotus Feet. And this prayer has a refrain, and it says, oh my brother, unless you get the mercy of Srimati Radharani, know that your life is wasted. So what can we learn here from these gopis? We can try to understand how Srimati Radharani pleases Krishna, and try to come in the proper inner attitude. One can also understand that by enthusiastically study the scriptures of the 6 Goswamis. That's the moment. After many years, I'm reading Gopal Shampoo from Jiva Goswami. It's so sweet, it's beyond. Of course, we cannot do that in the beginning, but will we understand that it requires Saranagati, surrender to Krishna. That yes, there are a few words I could say on this first. Any comments, Dr. Whitcomb? Any comment? Oh. Yeah. about Uddhava.
And goddess of fortune.
And the goddess of fortune.
Yeah, because you did mention that the goddess of fortune is not as clear because Krishna asked the
Yes, yes. I said in Krishna says that also you are not so dear to me on purpose. I'm sorry, the gopis are so dear to me that they get a mercy which is beyond the that they get a mercy which even the goddess of fortune does not get.
And then I was thinking too that Uddhava got more mercy than the goddess of fortune because he gave up his opulence. The goddess of fortune tried to give up her opulence, and she couldn't live in Vrindavan. But you're saying that Uddhava did desire to just reside in the humble blade of grass without opulence.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because Uddhav gave up his pride of being a Yadu and a prince and so on. And he wanted to give that up, everything. But the goddess of fortune could not give up her identification of being Lakshmi. She could not give it up. And that was a problem. I heard that it's in the scriptures somewhere that she's still doing austerities. That the goddess of fortune is still doing austerities today, but it doesn't happen. Thank you. Something else? Yes, Parikshit.
You know the difference. You spoke about those Goswamis. Goswamis are manjaris. Are there manjaris and Shaktis? Who is in the Shastras reincarnation of Shaktis?
The Sakis. Yeah, there is a scripture. I forgot the name. Yeah, thank you. We have the pandit here. So that is that's all described. You can find it there. I never read that book because I'm not on that level to read such things. But anyway, it's there. Thank you.
I was wondering about Gita, Krishna said to Arjuna, what is the use of knowing everything in detail? Yes, it's part of my splendor, pervades the whole universe, but then we hear in the scriptures all these different bhavas and emotions. And I was thinking, when this is going on, I don't think the gopis, they think, oh, now Radharani is in this bhav or in this mood. So how we should as Vaishnavas treat this subject matter?
Yeah, this is described by Rupa Goswami especially. He has analyzed all these emotions and has taken the knowledge from another Shastra. A Shastra, which is, I forgot the name, but it's concerned with drama. How to perform a drama. In a drama, you have all these emotions are important. And they have names. And therefore these samsari bhavs and all these emotions, they are described there. And he has taken that knowledge and applied this to the scripture to analyze it, so that we can understand something about all these bhavas. But it's not that we need that knowledge to develop that. That will become naturally revealed by Krishna, our relationship with him in due course. That will be spontaneous. That will come spontaneous. But it's interesting, this I forgot the name of this. I read all these things, but it's interesting. It's from the drama world. There are shastras, and we see also, and this is in Chaitanya Charitamrita. You have what's his name again? The father of Srimad Radharani in the past of God Chaitanya. Is Vrishabhanu, he appeared as Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Yeah. And Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he was teaching young Kamaris, they were 10, 11 years, young girls, and he was teaching how to do movements in drama and to get the right path, the right mood. And he was teaching that of course he was a Mahabharata, but we cannot do that because he was touching these girls and so on. But there was no trace of lust in his mind. It was all the constant of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And that's described, and is teaching all these emotions, and those who are this with this Indian style of dancing, Nitya, Bharatanatyam, they also learn this. They also learn all this movement and this eyes and this. They are also learning this art. But it's coming from there, yes. And it's just for the quest for analyzing and explaining to us. By that we can understand something theoretically. Otherwise, we are completely in ignorance of all this. That's the purpose. But yeah. Nice. Yes.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So also related to practice of festival, I was wondering, the verse that he was referring to is from the Bhuti Yoga's chapter, where within the material world we can see Krishna by all the fishes and shark, etc.
Yeah.
So and then he makes the statement that what's the use of all this detailed knowledge, how I am manifested in the material world, just a spark of my splendor. So, but here you talk about deep spiritual topics and bhavs and emotion. So is that also not a little different, that don't try to overanalyze this material world and the vibhutis, because it's just one splendor of one spark of my splendor.
Yeah, if I show you a flower, we can analyze the flower. There's the stamper and there's all this the petals and all these things and the stamper, and you can analyze it in detail. That's nice. That's knowledge, yeah. But then if you have the same flower, you can see it from an artistic point of view. And then you see it as a whole, not the details, not the whole. Yeah, so by that analyzing, you are not going to develop love. But seeing it as a whole related to Krishna, then it becomes. Then it helps us to develop love. So, as devotees, we look everything as related to Krishna, and that analyzing is not going to bring love in the heart. that's the Jnana type. But of course, in the beginning, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Jnana helps us to detach from the material world and to understand we are not this body and come closer to Krishna. That's helpful, but finally, and that's also in the 11th canto, Krishna says, yes, this need not by this jnana that you are going to develop love for me. So that is yes. So all these details of the world are, why does Krishna explain them in Bhagavad Gita? So that we can connect it with Krishna. And you don't need all the details, but these are all these opulences, these details. And that helps us to connect that. Because interesting, these Gopis are very simple, but they have deep jnana, realized jnana. That's not a knowledge, not book knowledge, realized jnana. And that's also something to us to understand. This jnana, if it's not realized, you leave, and you leave your body, you lose it. But the realization you take with you, and that is, does that help? Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and brought this very secret, intense, and divine aspect of the love of God. And many acharyas of this, as an of them, it was a manifestation of different manjaris, as you mentioned also. But as I feel and I understand that Prabhupada's mood was a little different, and especially in the one of his poem, his mood is like Medisaka. So it doesn't mean, because I heard from some devotees that if somebody has not the Manjari Bhav, is offending Prabhupada, offending Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And is it us? And it's a little bit strange because Bhav is Bhav, we cannot, somebody's have the most important is it not that to have a intense love and desire to serve Krishna. So this is a little dilemma and discussion between the devotee. Could you explain it a little more? Is it really that everybody must have the Manjari Bhakti, or there is a 5 rasas and you have to, most important is to go intense and it must be spontaneous and natural from the inside.
I think I mentioned something related to that. If we look at Srila Prabhupada's teachings, this bhav of separation, if you preach, you will experience that. So he brings it always to preaching as the way to realize that we preach in separation from the spiritual master. And then, by these feelings of intense separation, this bhava will develop that, because it's always important to realize that we have a process from Shraddha to Prema, and up to Nishtha, liberation, you are in control, in the sense you can perform sadhana and please the spiritual master and so on. But beyond Nishtha, it's all the mercy of Krishna. What we are discussing here today is beyond the mercy of Krishna. That it's the mercy of Krishna. It's beyond our influence, really.
He decided. He decided. He's
married. Yeah, right. So, but what myself is concerned, I pray to all of you, please bless me, that one day I can end and go deeply to this anartha-nivritti, that I can come liberated from this entanglement in the material world. That, and that's already a life mission. What we are speaking up here about, it's far beyond my realization. And what I say about it is just what I heard from the previous acharyas. That, but we need mercy, even to go to anartha-nivritti. Thank you. Good. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki.